What's up, everybody? It's Ty the Bourbon Guy, and welcome to the 25 Days of Whiskey. Today is day 12. And the whiskey we're going to talk about today is a Knob Creek store pick that's a little bit over 14 years old. So those that may not be as familiar, or maybe you're a little bit newer to the whiskey game, there was once upon a time where you could find a Knob Creek store pick that was older than 9 years old, 10 years old, whatever the case was. And when you came across one that was in the 14, 15 range, or maybe even higher, it was one of those ones that you had to get almost every single time. This bottle to me is a funny one because, well, for those again that may not know, Knob Creek is a Jim Beam product, and it's just a funny bottle that I go back to and just think about the story of how I acquired this bottle. Because when I was still kind of building my collection and just kind of getting out there and trying to see what I could find and bourbon hunt and all this other stuff, there was a particular liquor store that I would go to all the time between my office and my house. And I went there one time, and the guy actually told me that, man, it was like a Friday afternoon or evening. And the guy's like, hey, tomorrow morning we have this release, and I promise you're going to want to be here for it. And, you're going to, make sure you get here early, make sure you do all this, man. I don't know if he was trying to make the sale, or maybe he, whatever the case was, but he obviously made the sale. But that Saturday morning, I woke up, I got up early, and this was pre-kids, so getting up early was a big deal. And went and got some, McDonald's breakfast and some coffee. I was feeling good, and I pull up to the store, and I see a line of people, and so I thought, oh man, this is gonna be something good. The guys in line actually had a bottle of Rock Hill Farms, and they were sampling and doing some things, and so I just thought, man, I'm in the right place for sure. And I end up getting in line, and they're kind of looking at me, but it is what it is. If you've ever been in those lines, just can be awkward depending on the group. I probably am the one that made it awkward. That's fine. But from there, the store opens. I go in, and I'm just waiting. I'm like looking around, like what am I even looking for? I don't know. And now this is the same store that when I would go there, oh, you just missed Stag, we had that out. You just missed Blanton's, you just missed Eagle Rare, you just missed, and actually I guess at that time Eagle Rare was just sitting out. Oh, we had Birthday Bourbon just sitting out, and this is probably 2017-ish, somewhere around that range. But it was I didn't know what I was looking for. And so I go in, and these guys, they're trying different stuff, and I'm just like, where is this release, or what's going on? I didn't know what was going on. So I kind of go to the whiskey aisle, just trying to mind my own business and stay out of the way of whatever was going on. And, finally somebody comes up to me and says, what are you looking for? And I said, well, hey, I was told that there's going to be a release. I'm just trying to figure out what it is and what's going on. And they're like, well, we don't know who told you that, but it's a store pick, and the guys that are here lined up are just guys that helped pick the bottle. So they're just excited about it. And it was like a local group that helped with the pick. And so at that point, I just laughed, because I either had been had, or maybe somebody thought that they were going to sell out in the day. I don't know. But either way, I figured, well, I'm here, so I might as well buy the bottle. And they were nice enough to, they heard the story. They were nice enough to let me try some. They opened some up. And I said, at this point, I'm buying it either way. But to sample it and talk with some of those guys, and just that was the first time where I kind of got involved in the whiskey scene. And it was just a very quick conversation. And, but this is a local bourbon club. And even at that time, to hear them talk about different things and different topics and, whatever the case was, and for them to just kind of explain to me about this bottle and how they picked it, and what happened on that trip. And they actually came back with 2 picks, and so explaining the other one to me as well. At the time I would have bought more, I guess, if I knew what I knew now, that these would be hard to find or long gone. I think with what Knob Creek has done with the 12 years and the 15 years and now the 18-year releases, I don't know. I've kind of heard both thought processes where, to me, it's like this at 120 proof is a phenomenal whiskey. I get so much flavor, and there's so much depth, so much complexity, so many things going on in this whiskey. So when I have the 12 year, not bad at all. The 15, okay, price is way higher than what I paid for this, and the proof is lower. So now I'm starting to compare of like, well, why would I pay that for this? And I do have the 15 year, but it just always to me was missing that X factor. It was just missing that last little piece, and I really think it has a lot to do with the proof. And so, to have a product that's that old and that proof, for me, I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather have the higher proof, not because just purely the proof standpoint, but because I feel like that's where you get more characteristics within the whiskey. Again, not a distiller, not a blender, just an enthusiast. Just as a consumer's perspective, that's just the way I feel. And so I've heard the alternative thought too of, well, a lot of people felt like this was just too oaky at that proof point and those types of ages, and that was maybe part of the decision as to why they decided to lower it back down to 100. I don't know what the actual reason is, but again, my thought is that you should have left it at there, or at least not get rid of these single barrel picks. Let that still be an option and let the consumer decide now what's what. But again, I don't know all the workings of it. Maybe you can't have both, or I don't know. But either way, it's, I understand the need to hold back certain whiskeys so that you have an 18 year. But when you start to get to the 18 range, really when you get higher with bourbon, it can hit you with an oak bomb for sure. So I really don't know. All I know is that I love this bottle, 15 years old, just about, and at 120 proof is a phenomenal bottle and a phenomenal pick. And it's one of those lessons learned that I would have not necessarily lined up had I known that, but I did, and it's part of my story now, part of my journey, and it's a bottle that I still have. I tried it in the store. I thought it was good. Buy the bottle, go home, try it again, and maybe even like a couple weeks later, they still had those plenty of them laying around, and something told me like, just buy a few. And I think at that point, that's when I started to realize that single barrels, the picks, especially, those are your unicorns. Those are the ones that are, you have them, and for me, it's like important to stock up, because once that's gone, that's gone. You could find another one, but you never know. This, I don't ever see a 14 or 15 year Knob Creek store pick anymore. So now I start to baby this a little bit. The Maker's Private Selects, that's another example where I had a particular one that I absolutely loved, and I thought maybe I could find this combination. That's possible. Nope, not possible, because Makers decides that they're going to take out the mocha stamp. So to me, it's like one of those games of like, man, that's what makes these the true unicorns, and not necessarily just the highly allocated bottles that everybody's always looking for. So sometimes the store pick that's just sitting there for weeks on end that you may line up for anyway, those actually might be the real unicorns. Comment below, let me know what's your unicorn, what's something that you're sitting on and maybe kind of babying a little bit. You just don't ever want to get rid of it. What's kind of your favorite single barrels to chase after, or whatever the case is. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you so much for being here for day 12 of the 25 days of whiskey. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things, and I will see you tomorrow for day 13. Cheers.